All right, what is going on, guys? Christian from the Lay and Pray Podcast, again, joined by Trenton and Jeffrey.
Hello.
Yeah.
All right. So if you guys are listening to us right now, whether it's on Anchor, Spotify, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, or Breaker, thank you for tuning in. If it's on YouTube and you're watching us right now, then by all means, please go over and subscribe to our channel on Anchor or any of the other podcasts that we're listed on. So we had our first episode a few days ago where we discussed UFC 263 on top of a couple other different things. So today is just going to be a quick recap of Saturday's fights for UFC 263. And I guess the biggest thing is just talk about where we go from here. We already talked about UFC 264 and who's fighting on that card. So we don't really need to touch on that until, it gets a little bit closer.
There was a fight that I looked at that I just looked at the card that I didn't notice last week, and that's Carlos Condit. Is on
Who's
that
he
card.
fighting?
I just saw it was
the natural born killer, man.
Carlos Condit versus Max Griffin.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
dude, you got me. I'm down with anything Carlos Condit.
Yeah,
same.
Yeah.
So,
So I guess in terms of a total recap, we can say that I missed on a couple of my picks in terms of who I thought was going to win. I missed out on the
I think we all did.
Well, I think I did the best out of all of us in terms of total picks. I said Duodu was going to win and end the undefeated streak of that Russian cat. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. That didn't happen. And I also had there was another fight.
Y'all had Jamal Hill.
Yeah, Jamal Hill. That was a great pick on your part. I also didn't think. Yeah, shout out to Bearju.
Shout out to myself.
And shout out to Jeffrey for making that pick.
My picks were absolutely garbage last week. I guess it's last week or weekend or whatever, a couple days ago. My shout out or my call outs were bad. So maybe next week, maybe next card I'll improve my picks here.
So in terms of one of the fights that we all discussed was the Chase Hooper versus Steven Peterson fight.
Yep.
And for me,
I believe Jeffrey owes Benito Lopez an apology.
Look, dude, I prefaced it by saying I'm not calling out Benito. He's a fucking animal, dude. I mean, maybe you're right. We'll see. To be contuvered.
Yeah.
So, I just didn't see enough from Chase Hooper in terms of the stand-up game to really justify picking him to win. That was my biggest problem. Was in the fight before, he got absolutely dominated on the feet. And he just spent the rest of the time trying to do something to go to the ground and lock up a submission, and he couldn't.
Pretty much more of the same.
And and that was essentially the same thing that happened this fight with Steven Peterson. Was he got dominated on the feet the whole time. And he just needs to, I don't know if he needs to take a break for an extended period of time to develop his boxing or what, but he needs to find something. He needs to work on boxing or kickboxing or do something. Try sambo if you need to work on grappling and striking at the same time. But
my thing with that whole pick was, my thinking was that, he's starting to fight people now where it's going to catch up to you, right? If you don't have, you're going to get exposed if you don't have, a top game or just anything in your game. You're going to start to see those holes, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't think he was at the level yet. And kudos to Peterson. I just didn't think he was at the level yet where a high level grappler like that's going to get exposed that bad. You know what I mean? Because like at that low level, like coming into the UFC before you're a top contender, top 15, top 10, most of those high level grapplers can get away with that shit for a long time, and then they really have to focus on their stand up. So I just thought that he wasn't going to be at that level yet. I thought that he was going to dominate it on the ground, but that did not.
I was in agreement with you as well. And we were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing, I think the best thing for Chase right now is the fact that he is so young.
Yeah.
That he has that time to develop those skills. Whereas, you know, if it was the other way around where Steven Peterson was in the same shoes as Chase, where he's a 31-year-old that only has ground game, nothing else, he would be in a world of hurt because you're in the prime of your career right now.
I think somebody from his camp needs to step up and take a. I mean, he's on the Ben Askren train right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
fucking mirror images, dude. Same thing. Just
he was out training with Ben in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and hey, look, and it does help. Ben got to be at that high level because he was such a great grappler, right? But I think we've seen again what happens when you get to that level and you get exposed against the best of the best.
Yeah.
And Chase Hooper's got to learn from that and be like, all right, I know the jokes, my dad and all this shit, but you fucking really need to take a look back, and your coaches need to step up and be like, all right, man, here's where we go from here, you know?
For sure.
I'm not calling for like a camp change or anything, but I see like a good fit for him would be like a Faraz Zahabi, you know,
out in TriStar.
like mix that stand up with grappling and improve your game. You know, I think that would be a good fit for him.
I think right now, not to get political or anything with COVID and stuff, Canada's pretty shut down. So I don't know. I don't really think that's going to be a possibility anytime soon. But
I mean, just bring in a fucking high level striking coach, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, whether that be Muay Thai and you learn to clinch and use knees and elbows and shit like that could be a good call too, you know?
He has the frame.
Your transitions. Exactly. You know,
he's a long, lanky guy.
Yep. He's got to do something, man. And he's got all the talent in the world, but he really needs to evaluate his stand-up game. And we'll see what his camp does, you know, if you see improvement. Because if not, well, we see where it's, you know, trending.
And then we'll just move on to the prelim card, because eventually we'll go and talk about a surprise performance later on after we get done going over each fight. Movsar versus Hakeem Dawodu. That was the fight. That was the Russian guy that I couldn't remember. It was just 3 rounds of just complete control. And and honestly, I was thinking I picked Dawodu because I really thought him fighting on this card with Izzy was going to be like a motivating factor, because they're like both Nigerian guys. And so I was thinking like he's going to ride that, you know, and really set a precedent here, kicking off these important fights, whether it was the prelims or the main card. But yeah, he was controlled pretty easily in that fight. And now it's just going to be, who does Movsar fight now in the featherweight division that's top 10? Because he's 15-0, and he said he wants somebody in the top 10. And he should either be around 11 or 10 after that performance in terms of the rankings. So I don't know who he fights, because the featherweight division is pretty deep. But I mean, I'd love to see him and see what he can do against some of those elite guys.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get his shot, man. When we were, you know, previewing these things, I said his previous victories, you know, didn't really wow me. Like, it wasn't. Yeah, he won and he was 14-0 or whatnot, but like none of them I was like, oh shit, this dude's a fucking animal, you know?
Yeah.
I think he silenced a lot of people, dude. He's super solid, man. Super solid.
Agreed. Trenton, thoughts?
I think he looked good. I still wasn't completely wowed and blown away by the performance. I mean, he didn't get a finish or anything like that. I understand that at that level it's harder and everybody's good, you know, but I'm trying to think of who to match him up in the top 10 or top 15. And I'm trying to think of what would be a good fight to watch at featherweight. And I don't know who's booked right now. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, are you going through the rankings
here, you know?
right now?
Yeah, I was trying to look, but
okay. Well, I mean, we can move on to the next thing, and then we can come back to that. Next was the flyweight fight, women's flyweight fight, which was Lauren Murphy versus JoJo Calderwood. Really good fight. It was a split decision, so it could have gone either way in terms of, whether, because I'm pretty sure JoJo landed more strikes, but I feel like Lauren did enough in terms of like octagon control, and she had takedowns in the fight. So for me, I think that was the biggest deciding factor. Obviously, the striking is a part of the scoring system, but I also feel like Lauren Murphy did enough to get that split decision. And now it's who's she going to fight? Because I think she should be fighting Valentina next.
I think that's who she fights, and I think Dana White kind of said so as much in the post fight conference. Yeah, where they're like, "What do you think's left for Lauren Murphy?" And he's like,
"I don't know. I don't
want to commit to anything." And then everybody kept pressing me. He's like, "Look, I'm sure that's going to be the fight. I just don't want to commit to it right now."
It literally just happened too. Like you got to give somebody a second to.
But I think that's the consensus. I think that's definitely the fight that happens.
And the only reason why the biggest reason why I think that is because the next person in line really is Caitlin Chukagian, who just fought Valentina and just lost to Valentina.
And so Andrade as well. So
and so I don't know who else you do, because I don't like Valentina hasn't fought Lauren Murphy. So, and also, as you boys know, I tried getting her on the podcast. I hit her up on Twitter.
You got to shoot your shot, man.
Yeah. Trenton hit me with the Wayne Gretzky. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I hit her up. She pinned my tweet on Twitter. Alaska representing. Got nothing. But I tried. Maybe she'll get back to me once we're bigger.
Look, man, if you're Lauren Murphy, dude, this is where you want to be, but I'll be goddamn if that's not a big task in beating fucking Valentina. She's game too. And that fight she didn't take a lot of damage, man. I don't think, looking back on it, I think that fight could happen pretty quick, because Valentina's like, she's game, dude. She'll fucking fight whenever,
Valentina comes out unscathed almost every time.
Yeah, but that's because she's the one that is dominating the whole time. The only time that she struggled was against Amanda twice. And one of those times, I feel like she beat Amanda. I honestly feel like it's 1-1. I don't think it's 2-0 Amanda. So
they fought 3 times, right? Didn't they fight before the UFC as well?
No, Valentina and Joanna fought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
The light heavyweight.
Congratulations. That was a good performance to get you in that ballpark, the championship fight. So she deserves it.
That was a must win for her to stay in the talkings of it for sure.
The biggest thing is, for her is it's going to be like every girl that's fighting at 135 and 145 when they go up against Amanda Nunes, is it's going to be like, it's not even so much like we don't give you a chance, because obviously every dog has their day. But at the same time, most people are tuning in to see like it's a bet on when that fight's going to get finished. It's not a bet on who's
look, man,
win.
She has something that no other woman fighter has, and that's straight knockout, out cold, hit you in the face, you're sleeping power. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they don't hit hard, man. And
Cyborg does, though.
But
it's Cyborg and Amanda.
I can tell you right now, I don't want to get hit by any of them.
But Amanda, but Amanda crushes people.
Yeah,
dude. Those hands are fucking nightmare.
Lethal. Yeah, they're lethal.
Yeah.
All right. Next up in the light heavyweight division, this was another pick that I didn't get right. I had Darren Stewart winning over Eric Anders, and he lost. I didn't watch that fight, so I can't really comment on it. But if there was anything in specific that you guys saw or wanted to point out in the fight, by all means, go ahead.
Trent?
I just feel like he got outworked. Simple. I mean, Eric Anders looked like he was a step ahead at all times. And I got that fight wrong too. I thought Darren Stewart was going to be the winner of that fight, and I got proved wrong again. So I mean, like I said, my picks weren't that great this time around, and hopefully next time they improve. But Eric Anders looked good. I thought he was on the decline of his career, and for some reason, and he looked good.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, he looked solid, man. Just good all the way around. Like, not much else you can say. You know, he looked really good.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then the fight of the night was in the lightweight division, Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell. That was a really fun fight to watch.
That was a banger, dude.
Yeah,
that was a banger.
Absolutely should have been.
I believe it won fight of the night.
It did win fight of the night.
Yeah, so
and
it deserved it.
Yeah, Drew Dober. I honestly, the only reason why I chose Brad Riddell in this fight was based on what we had discussed. His performance against Islam Makhachev, which is Islam is no slouch. He is the next Khabib. Like 100%. He's the next Khabib. And everybody's saying that. DC, Khabib even. He's that next guy in the lightweight division. Better. Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
I mean, let's not get fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying. But
don't let your be biased. Don't let your be biased.
Let's not get fucking crazy, boys.
But Drew Dober really came out and proved me wrong, because I was thinking in his head, after you get dominated like that, I think it's hard to come back and put on another, or try to put on a good performance, because you're so focused on like, dude, I can't get taken down 10 plus times. I can't be controlled for 3 whole rounds again.
I had Dober because I think I was thinking the opposite. Like, you know, you were thinking he might have a hard time coming back. I think it made him hungry. Mm-hmm. You know, I was thinking he's going to come back with a vengeance on this one and try to prove a point. Mm-hmm. That's why I was chose him too. And it was a good fight.
Dude, that fight was fucking awesome, man. Riddell got rocked in the fucking beginning. It was the first round. I thought it was over. He fucking comes back. And listen, shout out for Dober, dude. It's like hitting a fucking Mack truck, man. That dude, his head is so stout, man. His head didn't move.
Yeah.
They were throwing, dude. And that was a great fight. Deserved fight of the night. Shout out Drew Dober. Riddell's a fucking animal, dude.
Yeah. Big time.
That was just a great matchup.
Oh, well, when we were messaging, we were talking about like going into the third round, I absolutely had it 1-1. I thought Dober won the first. I thought Riddell won the second. And then it was going to be who's going to come out. And it was like neck and neck up until that final minute when Riddell clipped him, kind of staggered him a little bit, and then was able to get the takedown and control the last of that fight.
Dude, that's what I texted you guys. Like,
you're like,
this is gonna be a. I was like, well,
never mind.
This is gonna be a split. And then right as I hit sent, he clipped him, and I was like, never mind.
Yeah, clipped him and then got the takedown. Yeah. So now I was like, okay, just another correct pick for me, no big deal.
Yeah, dude.
You were on a hot one.
Yep.
All right, moving into the main card. Another one that I got wrong was the Paul Craig Jamal Hill fight. And let me just say, the fact that it was only a dislocation and it wasn't worse,
that blows my mind.
The luckiest, like somebody upstairs was looking out for him, because we've seen numerous guys like Tim Sylvia have their freaking forearms snapped, or Mike Perry against Donald Cerrone. Ugh. And, the fact that it was an elbow dislocation, he's so lucky. Yeah. And I hope this doesn't make it worse in the future, because with dislocations, sometimes that is a continued issue where it happens over and over again and you have to get surgery. So I hope that this isn't one of those things that happens.
Yeah, hopefully it was just a dislocation and it didn't tear a bunch of ligaments or anything like that, and his arm doesn't continue to pop all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hopefully it's just one of those, hey, it popped out, we're going to put that thing back into place and we're good to go, and rest it for 2 months or something, and then let's get back to it, or hopefully it's something quick.
And honestly, I've never heard of an elbow dislocation. Like, you hear more shoulders, like your shoulder dislocates. But I've never heard of an elbow dislocation. And when just when you saw him lock in because it looked like he was going to throw up a key lock at first when he had him in guard. I thought he was going in for a key lock. And I was like, oh, that's not good. Because Paul Craig is dangerous. Like Jeffrey pointed out, Jeffrey's like, no, this guy's good. This guy's really good with submissions. So congratulations, Jeffrey. That was a great pick on your part. I just thought Jamal Hill, with this undefeated streak that he was on, and he's coming off a really good performance against OSP, that's a very solidified name in the division. So I was thinking that that was my pick. But Paul Craig put it on him from the start. And luckily, all the bad blood that they had before, it's kind of squashed. And Paul Craig went and visited him at the hospital and stuff after. So
that's good.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of too short to say, but I think he's improved, since his last fights too. So
Paul.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what he can do in the future.
What are your thoughts, Jeffrey?
Yeah, look, just going into this fight, it's very hard to get that big and be that good at jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
So just in the scene and everything, that was the rumblings, is like, look, man, this guy's his jiu-jitsu is fucking elite, like it's not a joke. He's tapping black belts and shit on the daily, and he's a savage. And I just think that in that division, they don't see that shit very often, and especially somebody that young and up and coming. When you run into somebody that's a fucking anaconda like that, you're gonna have a tough time. And shout out to Craig, dude. He looked fucking great, man. What a game plan. And he was so smooth with it, man. He set him up, with the left. It looked like he thought he was gonna armbar his left, and it was just a setup, took him right to the right, and just beautiful jiu-jitsu, man, all the way around. Shout out Craig. That shit was, you don't see it at that level, and it was fucking awesome to see.
It's exciting.
Yeah. And with that, the one part in the fight was, I really thought that it was going to be a stand-up fight where, Jamal Hill was going to get into his head and all the lead up stuff throughout the week. It was like a setup, like, okay, well, let's stand and bang. Let's just throw. Because Jamal Hill, let me bang, bro. And obviously that wasn't the case, because as soon as Jamal got close, Paul pulled guard and pulled him right in. And it was like, well, you're not going to win here. And that referee was terrible.
Yes.
I don't know how you see a limp, like everybody on TV, everybody in the crowd, you could tell, you could see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was tapping, but just missing.
Yeah.
Like he was tapping the air, but he was missing Craig's body.
Yeah.
So the ref just never stopped it. Like his arm was flapping like this. Like I was like, he's tapping. He's just not touching anything when he's doing it. And the ref just completely ignored it. And then his arm dislocated or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, he broke it. It's over. Like,
I bet you that guy doesn't work any high class events.
So in the post-fight press conference for Dana White, everybody was saying that he is like the Mazzagatti of Arizona. And he is like, what is up with this guy? And then a couple people in the crowd were like, this guy is dangerous. And he's like, what is this, the Mazzagatti of Arizona? And they're like, yeah. So, I don't want to kick a guy when he's down, but at the same time, that ref is a danger to fighters. And especially when you got big boys like that, and we got, it's just a matter of time before somebody gets put in like a bomb flu or something, and you can't tell that they're for sure out, and they're out, and somebody's still squeezing. And it's like, oh, you're just sitting there.
Yeah, agreed.
Welterweight division, Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. I got that pick right, but at the same time, I thought Bilal was going to put it on him.
Yep.
And he didn't. It was probably one of the more boring fights on the card. And I say boring, that's not, obviously it sounds demeaning. It's not meant to be demeaning. It's just,
we didn't get what we expected or wanted out of it. Yeah.
I would have even rather been wrong and Damian Maia submits him or something.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't like Damian Maia looked like he was on the same level in terms of boxing with Bilal. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Hey,
And
before this fight, you guys said don't sleep on his boxing or laughing at it, but
Yeah, but at the same time, Bilal Muhammad is way younger and way better stand-up fighter. There's no reason why he should have been taking some of the hits that he was taking.
so maybe
I
we
will
should
say
question Bilal's
that
boxing.
I would say that Bilal did a great job with his takedown defense. That was really fucking impressive.
Mhm.
Yeah, Damian Maya went for the same fucking single leg
Every time.
742 times in that
Yeah.
fight. But like, dude, Damian Maya, man, once he gets his hands on you,
It's
it
dangerous.
is fucking hard to get away from him.
Yeah.
And Bilal Muhammad did that. And I just think that maybe his stand-up game wasn't anything because Damian Maya would keep,
Yeah.
shooting and it disrupted him. But like you said, and like we said, leading up to the fight, Bilal Muhammad should have fucking put it on him.
Yeah, big time.
I don't
It's
think-
hard for your
it
boxing
was-
to look good when you got a wet
he-
blanket on you too,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, big time.
Look, hey, he won, but I don't think he won,
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, if we're going to look at something, let's point out, obviously, you don't want to overcommit on a shot and get taken down by Damian Maya so I'm sure that was a part of his game plan.
Yeah.
Was, we need to work on the takedown defense. And I think Damian Maya only got one takedown in the first.
Yeah.
And he was like 1 for 15 or 1 for 16 on takedowns. And that's really amazing in terms of what you've seen Damian Maya do against other guys.
High level guys.
High level guys in the division. That are way better grapplers than Bilal Muhammad too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of I wasn't upset. I was just more disappointed with the performance because I really thought Bilal could make a statement after the no contest with Leon Edwards. This could be his coming out party where he could be like, you know what, I need to be taken seriously in this division. He needed to have like a what's the name of the guy that just beat Tony Ferguson?
Charles Oliveira?
No, the guy, the Persian guy.
Oh yeah, Benil Dariush.
Benil Dariush. I say Persian. He's not even Persian. He's from Iraq, right?
Hey, it helped me. It helped me get to where we were.
Yeah. Sorry, Benil.
Regardless. Yeah.
But Benil's one of those guys in 155 who was kind of like Damian Maya, where he has been in that division for a long time, hasn't really been taken seriously. And now he's being taken seriously because he's getting these big time fights. Bilal gets a big name who's in the top 10, even if Damian Maya is 43 years old.
Yeah.
And he didn't come out and didn't really perform and solidify as a name to be taken seriously in the 170 division.
I still want to give Damian Maya a little credit too for being that old and still competing with the top guys in the game, dude. Like he's not
a fucking pushover, dude. You make a mistake, he's gonna catch you.
Yeah, he's not even getting finished like he was like at the beginning of his career when like we said, when Nate Marquardt starched him with one punch and stuff like that. And he's still competing with these guys, and like he's an old man according to the sport of a young man's game, and he's still competing with these guys, and I think it's pretty impressive. He did say that this one was probably going to be his last fight or one more, depending on what the UFC or like Dana White wants to do with him.
I think Dana White said
it's like, I'm done or not,
I think Dana White said that that's probably the last time you see.
So I just saw this either last night or this morning. I can't remember. Damian has one more fight on his contract.
They'll probably bang that one out. But
he said that he would love to fight Nate because they're both, very good practitioners of BJJ. Yeah. And that was a fight that he wants to end his career on. But I was like, dude, I don't want to see Nate fight Damian Maya. I want Damian Maya to get paid and he would get paid.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see that. I don't
actually think it'd be kind of exciting.
I don't.
I think Nate would probably tee off on him all day long, and it probably wouldn't turn into a jiu-jitsu match. But to be honest, with Nate's ego, it might turn into a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah, there's no telling.
I don't know.
I personally don't want to see that.
I don't want to see it.
Look, I'll watch it, but
I'd watch it.
Other fights I'd rather see.
I say wait for that, and instead of doing MMA, just do like a grappling match or a combat jiu-jitsu or whatever. Like I'd rather see that than an actual MMA fight, because I think Nate still deserves a bigger name, even though, I mean, we're gonna get there. But
that's the only thing he's got now is a big name for big name fights. He doesn't. Nate will never fight for a title.
He should. Well, I mean,
I don't know, dude.
He could fight for 155 again if he dropped and beat one more top 5 guy, because he's fighting at welterweight, and they're like, hey, listen here, you get a top 5 guy, and we've already seen what happens with a couple of these guys when they fight each other at lightweight. So if he drops back down and starches a Michael Chandler or something like that, he might get a title shot real quick.
He is not fucking starching Michael Chandler.
I'm just saying it, dude.
He's not.
Just saying it could.
He's
listen
not.
to me. Listen to me. Okay. Let's get into segue.
Let's go to the next one then. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz. That's the next one. So Leon wins by unanimous decision.
Correct.
Rightfully so, because he put it on Nate for 4 3/4 rounds, and then in the last minute gets clipped because he was not taking the fight serious. It's like, dude, the fight's not over. Nate Diaz is dangerous till the very end. And ran over to the fat lady sings. And obviously, it wasn't even his eye anymore that was the problem. It was the sides of his freaking head. And then the opposite side of his face, that was the problem, compared to the right side of his face, which was always the problem before.
Diaz needs to fix his whole face. Like that, like his head needs to be like taken off and replaced. The plastic surgery is not going to do it, man. Like the guy's been in so many wars. He's been hit so many times. His skin is like
leather.
Bro.
Yeah, it's just
listen
like
to
fake
me.
leather though.
Leather.
Leather. I don't want him to change a fucking thing.
Yeah, dude,
this is this is the reason. This fight is the reason that you pay for
that
fucking
pay-per-view.
For that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
We were texting last night. I will never not watch a fucking Nate Diaz fight ever. Yeah. I fucking love that guy, dude. It's exciting. Even when he was getting starched, it was like, dude, this is still a fun fight.
Which wasn't very common because
he makes it entertaining. There's moments of danger when he goes for the heel hook, and you're like, oh shit, like that's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
And then in the last minute, man, just goes ahead and just catches him with one when you're like, oh my fucking God, this is what Nate does, and he does the same thing that we know he's going to do.
Stock and slap, left hand straight.
Yeah.
In the preview, we're like, guess what he's going to do? He's going to get fucking beat up. And then in round 4 and round 5, he's going to come out there and he's going to put a pace on you that you're not fucking used to. And he's going to catch you with one. That's just what he does. And I don't give a fuck if he's 26 and 15 or whatever he is now, bro. Dial him up on the next pay-per-view. I'm back in.
Yeah.
Can we all talk about for a second how frustrating it was after he rocked him and he didn't push forward?
Yeah.
Dude, that upset me so bad. He rocked him, and for a good 5
he fucking pointed at him. He pointed at
there.
He did the wobbly legs. Yeah. He pointed at him.
It's like, dude,
go
Nate,
for him.
You got to follow up on that, dude.
Because he rocked him again after that. If he had just pushed, he could have finished him.
In the post-fight press conference, he's like, in the streets. That's solidified. I win. Motherfucker, we're not in the streets. You're in a cage. You need to follow up on those shots.
You've been fighting in the UFC for like 20 years, bro.
Yeah,
like
how do you
know how the rules are these days?
I think that's just
the same
him losing track of time or whatever, like, yeah. Then that's just, again, in the baseball world, Chris, it's like, well, that's just Manny being Manny,
Yeah,
like,
that's just Nate being Nate.
That's just Nate being Nate, man. This is the kind of shit that's going to happen. I don't know if he could have put him away or not. I would have liked to see him try, but God damn it, if it wasn't exciting, man.
Well, and then after, like, that was exciting. I'll be 100% honest. Going into that fight, my heart was racing. Like, when there's a fight that I'm like very excited about, my heart starts to race, and I get
a little bit of adrenaline.
I get like goosebumps. And I was just like, dude, there's no telling what's going to happen because Nate's dangerous. And I wanted him, again, like I said in our, in the preview, I wanted Nate to win.
Yeah.
Because I want him to be taken more serious. Like obviously he's taken seriously because he's getting these bigger name fights, but I want him to be taken seriously as like a title contender because his career is almost over.
Yeah.
And I want him to at least get one more crack at a title, whether it's at 155 or 170. And I was thinking if he puts on a good enough performance in this fight, that it could happen. But you can't validate a title shot off of a stock and slap and a straight left that rocked a guy who just was being the dumb shit.
You know what this does though? Like you're right. And I think all of us were right when we're saying like he should have followed that up and taken that last, 30 seconds more seriously or whatever. I think but all this does is cement, hey man, all it takes is an injury.
Yeah.
Like no bullshit. All it takes is an injury and you're scrambling and you're like, who we got? Fucking Nate Diaz, dude's gonna get in that bitch and throw down with the fucking belt, like that's all
if he fought Kamaru, he would get obliterated.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But that's legitimately all it takes is one injury to happen, and then Nate's back in the fucking
dude. I'd love to see Nate Diaz versus Colby Covington just for the shit talk.
Oh god, man. Me too. He called him a soy boy today. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So and also go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry, man. Just shout out to Leon Edwards, man. Besides that last 30 seconds, he looked fucking phenomenal.
He was in great shape too.
He was in the right place at the right time, countering the correct things, leg kicking the fucking piss out of him.
Cardio forever.
Cardio, dude. Shout out Leon Edwards. His stock definitely went up. Hey, almost lost it there at the end, but he looked really fucking good for 4.5 rounds.
Yeah, and another thing, like post-fight, Nate told him basically like, you need to be the deciding factor. Like you need to tell them what you're worth, or else they're just going to make an assumption and tell you what you're worth. You need to tell them what you're worth. So that's just Nate, the veteran, telling them like, motherfucker, I took a break for like 2 or 3 years because they thought I was playing around. This shit ain't he's like, this ain't no funny money.
Yeah.
You got to give me mine. Got to take care of your chickens, as Marshawn would say.
Shout out to Nate for legitimately throwing a house party in Phoenix, Arizona.
Right?
I know. Massive.
I was like, God damn.
Dude, he's like, hey, yo, pay attention. Come on out. 420.
That's crazy.
4209.
Then he lights up a joint in the press conference.
Yeah, and hands it to Nick. Nick comes up and he's like, hey, yo.
Hey, also shout out to that brotherly love, man, because nobody loves Nick Diaz like Nate Diaz.
I know. And nobody loves Nate Diaz like Nick Diaz.
They fucking love them. So, hey, that's a fucking strong relationship, man.
That's some brotherly love right there.
Yeah. And now, like we talked about a couple days ago, is just figuring out who Nick's going to fight. If that's, if things fall into place, hopefully he gets a big name fight, because I don't think he's going to come back to fight nobodies.
Well, dude, like even after that, like the way I look at it is every time Nate fights, it's a new fight for Nick. Like,
yeah,
like I sit there and I think, all right, I wouldn't mind watching Nick versus
Leon
or Masvidal or whatever,
Make
like
that happen.
I think he deserves his shot at the title. Don't get me wrong. I do. Do I think he's gonna do it? I don't think so, man. I think Leon, I mean, he looked good in that fight, but he did get caught in the last, 30 seconds. And I hopefully it wasn't as serious as it, hopefully he recovers better for that. And then, his chin is good for the Kamaru fight if he gets his chance after Colby. But that just makes me think that Kamaru might starch him.
Yeah.
Just like he did to Masvidal.
Yeah, he hits a little bit harder than fucking Nate.
So I mean, and he's quick as shit, dude. You know what I mean? So like in that, I don't know if he's got what it takes to win that, but it is a fight I want to see. But if that fight doesn't happen, or let's say that it happens and he loses, here comes Nick. Like I'm interested in seeing that one now.
Well, we know
Nate's a lot bigger than I thought he was too.
We know who's got the next fight right now, right? So that means
Colby and Kamaru.
Yeah. So when that happens, they're on opposite schedules right now. So he might take another fight.
It's true.
In between that, in the lead up.
That's too much of a risk for Leon though.
But I don't think Leon cares because he's been so inactive for so long.
But he said today that he thinks that he should be next in line. So if he was smart, if he was smart, he would hold out until he would do what Whitaker's doing, where it's like, okay, I've solidified this. I've won 9 in a fucking row. And now it's to a point where you just need to give me my title shot and I'm going to sit out until I get it. And that's where I think Nate
I could see him taking that fight though. First of all, to earn that's going to be a lot of money. You take a fight with Nick Diaz, boy, that's a big show. You know, that's a huge show. And not only that, Leon Edwards has to believe that he can beat Nick Diaz off of a 6-7 year layoff. You know what I mean? Like you got to have that much confidence in yourself to bet on yourself and to take that money. I think he does that.
Yeah.
If you're offering Nick Diaz,
he might actually get more money to fight Nick than he would if he fought for the title.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like he's going to get money and you got to have enough confidence to know like, all right, dude, this motherfucker is going to legit push me just like fucking Nate, but this bitch is not fought in 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, so I think he takes that fight if offered.
Well, and the thing is the only way that he's going to really get paid on that is if they restructure his contract, number one, and number two, it would have to be a headline of a pay-per-view so that he could get the pay-per-view. But I don't think that Nick's name is obviously it's popular, but that's because Nate has kept it relevant.
Fight Nick and Nate on the same card, dude.
Yeah.
Co-mains
and the main.
Sell that out, dude.
Let's do Leon Edwards and Masvidal tag team against, even though they hate each other too.
in a fucking lumberjack match.
I think that might be the fight that he takes as well.
And a steel cage ladder Hell in a Cell match.
I think he could fight Masvidal. Get that payback
option
for that 3-piece in a soda.
Yeah.
You know, they already have beef. Sell it. Even though Masvidal said I think he wants to do it for a belt, but neither one of them. I mean,
what
right
belt?
now,
The BMF belt?
Yeah. I don't like. I mean, that's can't be.
That belt's not real.
No.
Sorry.
Would you guys rather see that, or would you guys rather see like a fucking Conor McGregor Nate Diaz 3?
I'd rather say Conor versus Nate 3.
Then what? Then Leon versus
Nick
Masvidal or what? Or Nick?
Yeah. Would you rather see that, or would you rather see like a Nick Leon Edwards?
I'd rather see Conor and Nate because I know what I'm gonna get.
I'd rather see Conor and Nate again and get rid of that trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, just let them finish it off. Even though right now at this point in their careers, I haven't seen enough from Conor to show me that he's improved.
Conor, I think that's the only sell that he has left, really.
Yeah.
Conor's turning into freaking Frankie Edgar. Trilogies. It's like, dude, I'm so sick of trilogies. I'm done. I don't want to see Frankie Edgar versus BJ Penn 3.
I also don't want to see him end his career without that third Nate Diaz fight either.
No, but maybe end on that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if he loses here, he's got to end on that. That's the only one he's got left. If he loses,
if he loses
the Dustin, like
you have to fight Nate for that card, or for that draw. That's
if you come back at all. Like he might ride off into the sunset after selling that proper whiskey or parts of it or whatever.
Yeah, just percentage of it. Yeah. Okay, and going into the co-main, so where I was wrong I made the correct pick, but I was wrong. I said it was probably going to be a boring fight because the banger that they were in the first time. So I thought it was going to be just a feeling out process where, you know, the first round where they're trying to get each other's timing down. And, you know, obviously because they're lighter guys, there was going to be moments of, you know, there was going to be some moments there, but nothing spectacular. But fuck, was I wrong?
I was wrong off the pick and wrong off of the I was right about how it was gonna not go all the way.
Yeah,
but I was wrong on the fighter and everything. I think Figueiredo was on your side with I think there's gonna be a filling out process for a second, and he was wrong. You got surprised real quick. Moreno came in with fire, dude.
Yeah, well, and what I told you guys is I really thought that like the Mexican crowd, they're in Arizona, and I really thought that he could rally behind that and like really use that to boost him and help him.
He did. Yeah.
And I mean,
that was a good call.
And it's only because he's obviously he's the first Mexican-born UFC champion. So congratulations to
That actually surprised me to
Moreno.
hear that too when they told me, because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, when they said that, I was like, oh shit, like I didn't know he was the first Mexican born.
Well, I think
champion.
that's why that they were trying to the UFC's been looking one for a long time, right? They've tried to do it with Yair Rodriguez,
Mhm.
right?
Jair just keeps has setbacks. He takes one step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, so hey man, shout the fuck out to Moreno, because god damn, he looked good, dude. And
Yeah.
hey, Figueiredo's a bad motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
so good, man.
That fool was shredded, dude.
Yeah,
Shredded.
they were
I don't
so
know how
good,
he makes.
dude.
I know he had troubles with making weight at
Before,
125,
yeah.
and I don't know how he even gets close to making that weight because he's a big 125er.
He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him, dude.
I think they said he's probably done with that weight class.
He should be. I think he would perform better at 135 because he doesn't have to worry about depleting himself. So in that first round, Brandon Moreno drops him just with a quick left. I think he hit him with the jab and it spun Davison around, knocked him on the ground. And I was really worried that Brandon was because Davison is a really good jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, don't go into his game. You're going to beat him on the stand-up. Just do your thing. Just let him get up and then fight. And it was just such a good fight. That first round, Brandon won it. The second round was close, but I still felt like Brandon won the second round. Then that third round, he put it on him and he beat Figueiredo in his own game, the ground game. And he submitted him with a rear naked choke. And when he first locked it in, he was right there to getting it. And then his hand, Figueiredo pulled his hands apart. And I was like, oh man. And then he sunk it right back in. Mm-hmm. He did the perfect thing. I was just so happy for him. And, going from a guy who was last picked on the Ultimate Fighter to getting cut, to getting brought back and winning the title and becoming the first Mexican born UFC champion. Congratulations, Brandon Moreno. It was an amazing performance.
That's inspiring. And I'm happy for those people. They're diehard fight fans in Mexico and through boxing and everything, and just so much history there with fighting. And this is only going to skyrocket probably that portion of the world for MMA. And that's exciting because dudes are monsters. And
well, you see what happens.
Spirit.
You see what happens when it catches on in a place, look at, fucking Congo and like all the, these African countries Nigeria, where you're like, they're pumping out some legit fucking fighters.
Now they got 3 champs.
Yeah. And then a place like Mexico with the whole boxing tradition and stuff like that, it's only a matter of time before they start rolling in on this MMA train, and fucking kudos to him, dude. He looked good, and shout out to fucking Mexico, dude. Mm-hmm. Y'all deserve this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what I was thinking of is you look at, because right now the biggest boxer that Mexico has is Canelo. I would say he's probably the biggest boxer, like name for boxing. And he's a beast. He's an absolute stud. And now it's nice that in a different combat sport, there's another Mexican that's going to help propel the sport and bring it up to that next level for the UFC. Because it helps, like with China having Weili Zhang as the champion really helped take it up to that next tier. And now with Mexico, we have Brandon Moreno, and there's some females too that are that I'm pretty sure are Mexican that are working their way up the ranks. I can't tell you anybody off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that there are some female athletes, female fighters that are in the UFC. So again, just kudos to Brandon, because that was a spectacular performance, and it sounds like he worked the game plan that they had and set over that 6-month period. It sounds like he followed it. So
imagine this dude has a long ass title reign, and in the next 20 years, Mexico's like the new Brazil with talent. With like coming out of there, it could be crazy. But
that's all you need is you need one guy who really
You need one
helps.
gym,
Yeah.
one big gym, you know, like consistent.
People come all
good
parts of
gym.
Mexico to
Yeah.
go there and train and
Yeah.
just make monsters.
Oh, and
Yep.
that's like you look at Brazil and all the guys, whether it was Pride or in UFC now, but you had
Shoot the
guys like,
box and
yeah, you had guys like Vanderlei and the Nogueiras and Anderson and Vitor. Those are like your big name. Shogun.
yeah.
Yep.
Those are your big name guys that really helped put Brazil on the map for combat sports. But you look at Mexico for boxing, they've had a lot of guys like Juan Manuel Marquez, I think was a guy, and then
Cesar Chavez Jr., Chavez.
Yeah, and then now Canelo. But there's nobody in UFC, like obviously Kane, Henry Cejudo, those guys are Mexican, but they're not Mexican. Yeah, they're Mexican American. They're not from Mexico. So it helps for that demographic and that market. So again, I'm just really happy for Brandon because that story is beautiful story. And it's
like a Rocky movie.
Yeah, I like almost got like emotional because at first he didn't realize, like I don't think he really realized it. And then as soon as like he looked around and could hear everybody, then it hit him. And it's like, fuck, man, good for you.
You know, the country that I feel's due for a fucking champ, we haven't seen anybody like really go on a tear in a long time, is
Germany,
Korea, like South Korea. Like I feel like South Korea is due. You know, you got your Dung Young Kims and your fucking
that Korean zombie.
The Korean zombie.
The Korean zombie. You got what's the fucking the young kid that just went military service.
Duho Choi.
Ooh, I love that motherfucker, man.
Korean Superboy.
Yeah,
I love that guy. I think they're due too. Like to have some fucking people come out of there and be studs.
Well, Korean Zombie had his opportunity against Aldo, back in the day before. I think it was before his mandatory service.
It was,
and he actually looked really fucking good in that fight until he blew out his shoulder.
Yeah,
and I was upset because
he's fighting soon.
He's fighting on the next fight night, I think it is, or whatever, on the next card. But I don't know that he's looked the same. I mean, he lost to Ortega just recently, and that was a rough ass fight. That's not
no
nothing.
Shame though.
Yeah,
he's
no shame. But man, I want that guy to come back in full force because I love me some Korean Zombie, bro.
He's fighting Dan Ige too. That's gonna be a tough.
That's a tough ass fight.
That's a big one.
Dan Ige's no slouch, dude.
No,
he's a stud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, congratulations, Brandon Moreno. Spectacular performance. Congratulations, Mexico. You guys got yourself a great representative for your country, for the sport.
For sure.
And to just cap it off for the card, we all picked Adesanya to win. And he won pretty handed.
I was wrong in my prediction of how, but he definitely won.
I didn't think Adesanya was going to finish him. I didn't. Marvin Vettori is his head's too big.
I think me and you both, Chris. I think we both said like dominant win,
not a finish. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be quicker this time around.
I was kind of hoping because I didn't want Marvin Vettori to win. My thing is I don't know how a guy that got picked apart, like, dude, his legs have got to be hurting today, like over these last couple days, because I mean, at one point he got kicked so hard that he got knocked on his ass because he got kicked so hard. And I think you can only take so many leg kicks before it really starts to take its toll. Reference Uriah Faber and Jose Aldo. Reference
that was
Anthony Smith and Jimmy Crute recently. Just you take so many leg kicks and eventually it's just you're either going to hit the right spot or your leg's going to be like, dude, I can't take this anymore. And I think Marvin Vettori's stand-up is just terrible. He didn't listen to his corner at all. They kept telling him, like, what you're doing, you need to do something different. And it's like I told you boys, pay attention to where he took him down in the last fight. He kept taking him down so close to the freaking cage that Adesanya got back up and was able to climb his way back up. And that's exactly what happened again. Every takedown he got, it was so close to the cage that you can't control him there because he can get up. And his ground game got significantly better after fighting Jan and being held down for 5 rounds, essentially.
I think Marvin's part of his game is using the cage for takedowns, though. So he's so used to that. He's not used to shooting in and taking people down in the middle of the cage. Yeah. So like it's part of his game plan, which works against him in this fight. You know what I mean? Like had he maybe made those little adjustments, or he could make those little adjustments, we might have been talking about a different decision here, but I just don't think so. I think Israel Adesanya is that good. I think he would have walked over to the cage and got up anyways. Like I just think Israel Adesanya is the more complete fighter at this point, and Marvin Vettori is a beast, but I just don't think his wrestling is that good out in the open. I think he needs the cage for the takedown, and it works against him.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, hey, look, he's probably one of the he might be the best right now. Maybe Usman, but he's there. Like Vettori, dude, shout the fuck out to him because he was getting blasted, dude.
Yeah.
He was getting hit, but he never stopped. He never stopped trying to take him down, and he did get him down. And look, Adesanya's just that good, man. He's that good.
Yeah. I was impressed with Vittori's cardio too, because I was kind of worried that it wasn't going to go for 5 rounds because of the pressure he needed.
Those diaphragm exercises that he was doing and embedded, like he showed them what he does to help like expand his diaphragm and do those breathing exercises. You can tell that in comparison to the first fight, where like even after the first round in this fight, I was like, dude, this boy's gassed, but he was able to use those breathing exercises.
Was he doing old school Gracie exercises or whatever?
No, he had some breathing thing that he threw in his mouth, and he was
oh geez,
like breathing in super hard and then exhaling super hard. So
yeah, but I mean, Adesanya looked good, man. That's all you can really say. And look, Vettori didn't even do anything wrong. It's just
stand-up
he's outskilled, you know what I mean? Like,
but the thing, he kept wanting to just do, like, he wasn't really doing anything in terms of, like, if you're gonna, he's not really a power puncher because he's more of a volume striker, but he couldn't hit Israel. But when he wasn't hitting Izzy, he'd then go in for that looping takedown and try to lock in a double. I think he just got
super frustrated, man. He got super frustrated. That's where I'm sure all camp, they thought this is where you have the advantage. You have the advantage here, you have the advantage here. And then when Izzy gets right back up, I'm sure that it throws off your fucking game plan. You don't know what to do from there, and it's not like you can, it's not like you can fall back on your striking because Izzy's going to fucking piece you up.
And you know what I think the most demoralizing part of that entire fight is I think it was either in the second or the third round where he got Izzy's back and he almost locked in a rear naked choke, and Izzy did the best thing possible and he sunk his hips in and was turned in. Dude, Marvin didn't even throw in, like, he didn't lock his legs in, period. He didn't lock in a body triangle. He didn't lock in anything. He just was trying to submit him with his arms. He was trying to lock.
Look, and a lot of this has to do with camps too, man.
Yeah.
My homeboy's fighting out of Italy, and no disrespect to Italy, but like, you're just not going to have an AKA there. You're not. No,
he fights out of Kings.
Does he fight out of Kings?
Yeah, he fights
out of Italy.
He's from Italy, but he moved to the States and he's been fighting out of Kings MMA with Rafael Cordero.
Okay, then he doesn't really have an excuse then,
No, and he just
didn't listen.
And his teammates Kelvin Gastelum,
who
they had a good fight. Him, and if he would just listen to his corner, like, he wasn't listening to his corner at all.
Like I said, I think he was just frustrated, dude. Fighting Izzy, I'm sure is going to do that.
After the first round, Rafael Cordero told him, "You're down 1-0." And Marvin got offended that he told him that you're losing. Yeah. He basically was like, "How?" It's like, dude, he landed way more shots than you. I got a takedown. You didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
You got a takedown. Getting takedowns doesn't mean anything unless you're wrestling. That's it. That's the only place it's going to matter. No one gives a shit if you took a guy down and you didn't do anything with it.
If you got pieced up for
i.e. lay and pray
4
Shout
minutes
out.
of the fight and get a takedown, I
Shout out
mean,
Lay and Pray.
you can't just count. Yeah, you can't just like take down the 4 minutes you just got outstruck. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be a counterbalance. I think takedowns should be worth more, but also if you do something with it, you know, you can't just take a guy down and then he gets back up or whatever, and that you don't win the round from that. You didn't do anything.
Well, especially if you're
Just
getting
take a guy
pieced
down.
up
Yeah.
in between those times.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Jeffrey and I had that. I mean, we all had the prediction right, but Jeffrey and I had that in terms of how the fight was going to go. It was going to he was going to pick him apart from the outside, throw lots of leg kicks, which he did, and there was going to be moments. I mean, I didn't really care for Izzy doing the whole like grabbing his ass and, you know, mocking the eye pokes and the all that other stuff, like the antics. I get it, like not liking the guy and stuff, but come on, Izzy.
Yeah.
Well, that bad blood didn't end because after the fight, they were fucking still talking shit.
Well, the thing is Adesanya told him, like, I mean, it's like after his post fight when he got interviewed by Joe Rogan, he's like, "Oh, well, what'd you say?" And he's like, "I told them, you know, basically like bad blood or not, you know, this is mixed martial arts. Like, let's be respectful." And Marvin was just like, "No, I feel like I won that fight." And he's like, "Dude, whatever. Believe what you want to believe. Whatever."
Yeah, you didn't. Sorry.
You didn't even win a round as far as I'm concerned. I had 5-0.
I think all the judges did too.
Yeah. All right. So I guess that's a good recap for everything. Moving into the next part. What do you guys feel is next for Nate? What do you guys think is next for him?
I think he holds out for that big opportunity for someone pulls out of a fight. I think that's his move, right? Like that's a good strategy to employ right now, because if somebody falls out in a match or in a fucking fight in the top 4, I mean, who else is gonna sell that ticket? Probably Nate.
I think personally, I'd like to see him drop back down to 155 and look for a top 5 fight there, and then work his way back up to a title shot. I think even though he's been fighting at 170 and he's got 2 losses in a row now there, I think that if he went back down to 155 and put on a good performance on somebody in the top 5, that he's a win away from a title shot against somebody. Imagine if he goes out there and beats, I don't know. I mean, I want to see Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler, but
so
let's say he goes out there and fights Gaethje and wins or something like that. If Conor beats Dustin, then it's Conor versus Charles Oliveira or something like that for the title, and then he probably gets the winner. They'll do a Conor Nate 3 for a belt, or they'll do, you know, like he could easily step in and fill that gap, and it'll be like, you know, the end of his career, hopefully.
The only reason I don't think that
hey boys, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yep. The only reason I don't think that that's a thing is because he doesn't really give a shit about that anymore. He just wants to chase that money fight.
Yeah.
So if he really wanted to chase after a belt, like he probably could, you know, like in that scenario you're saying, but I just don't think that's in him. I think he's just whatever gives him the most money.
I think that would give him the most money. Maybe not the fight against like Gaethje or something like that, but you know, if he moves down and he does fight for the belt against somebody, let's say Conor does become the champ, or Dustin, like him and Dustin have talked shit to each other before as well. So I mean, if he gets a title fight, that's a big ass money fight for him too, you know. So
I would love to have him get like I would love to see him and like Colby fight, dude.
Yeah.
Damn,
I think it's most likely for what most likely would happen with Nate probably is they might do the rematch with Masvidal because it got stopped from the cut, and they might just do that again because Masvidal just got knocked out.
I don't really want to see that, but
I don't want to see it either again, because I didn't think he was putting on that great of a fight against Masvidal in the first one. It looked like he started to come back right before, you know, it got stopped and all that stuff, but he was getting tagged up hard, man.
That
and
I don't the hardest head kick I've seen in a long time.
I don't want to see that fight again, but for his ego and his and for the big money, they might do it again, you know.
I think before that fight happens again, they run Nick
I hope.
and
I
Jorge.
hope.
That's what I hope too.
I hope
That's
so.
what we had discussed last time
Yeah.
too. Was
Mhm.
I think for me, I think what I'd like, and obviously I don't know what you guys said. Sorry, I had to pee really bad.
It's okay. I just basically recapped and said that I think he should like take a top 5 and you know, if Connor pulls off the upset, or maybe it's not an upset at this point, I don't know, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, he could be fighting for the title, and then you could do the trilogy for the
For the
belt,
belt.
you know.
What this is my thoughts on that. I think whoever he fights next, it's either going to be Connor or it's going to be Dustin, because he has history with Dustin too.
Yep.
Even though they've never fought, they've shit talked on Twitter.
They were supposed to fight, I think,
Yeah,
at one
and
point,
it fell
something
through.
happened. Yeah.
So I think that I think Dustin needed surgery is what ended up happening. So I think whoever loses the Connor and Dustin fight will fight Nate, because you can't give Nate's lost 2 in a row at 170.
Yeah.
But I think you give him the loser, so that way it's a guy who just lost versus a guy who just lost.
Yeah.
I would love to
think
see
whoever
if
wins
Colby
is going to get the
loses.
title shot. So
I would love to see if Colby loses. I would love to see a rebound fight for him against Nate.
That'd be just a fun for.
It'd just be a fun fight. Just a
Yeah.
fun fight.
Yeah.
You know, like and that would make money, dude. If Colby is like, all right, that's 2 now. You know,
Yeah.
I'm obviously gonna have to do something to get back to where I'm at. In the meantime, let me take this fucking fight, make some money out of it. I think that'd just be a fucking fun, fast-paced fucking brawl to the end, man. I like it.
So, I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything else in terms of that, but for me, I think, yeah, I that kind of concludes it for me in terms of Nate. I think he's going to either fight Dustin or Connor. You think Connor or
I think
Jorge,
it should,
or not Jorge, but
I could see it going with Masvidal, but I think that, yeah, it'll probably be most likely the loser of Connor and Dustin, just because I think the winner of that fight's getting the title shot right away anyways. I think that would be the smartest move for his career, is to go back down to 155. I think he's way more competitive there.
Yeah.
And he's got history with the guys. So,
yeah.
You know,
in terms of Jeffrey, what do you think if you were to make just a solid pick, not who you want, but what you think will happen
with Nate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna hold out for that money fight.
Okay.
You know, whether that be Dustin or whether that be Connor or whether that be Jorge Covington, like, you know, he's just gonna hang out for that money fight.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 8-9 months, a year away.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he does.
He said he wants to be more active. Like he said that.
I know, but he's also gonna want to. He's not gonna get.
Well, he knows what he's worth.
He knows what he's worth. So there, and I just don't think in 3-4 months you're gonna have an opponent that lines up like that for him. So,
all right. Well, we already
6, 7, 8 months.
And does the UFC want to kick down that much money that soon?
Yeah.
As well, you know, like, oh, here's another fight in 3 months, let's pay him a couple $1 million again, you know, like whatever it is.
In terms of Leon, we already talked about that, whether it's holding out or taking a fight with Nick, if Nick, or, you know, whatever, and it's another either title shot or big money fight, but I think Leon holds out and waits for that next title shot, because he essentially should be the next in line after
he's already earned it.
Yeah.
9 fights in a row. Yeah. For Brandon Moreno, what are your guys' thoughts? Who do you guys think he fights next?
I think he's got to go trilogy. There's nobody else there.
Askarov. He's undefeated.
Miss me says.
I think you got to go the trilogy, dude, no matter what.
I honestly don't think Davison Figueiredo makes weight again at 125.
I know what they're saying they're not, but I think for that belt back, I think he would.
Yeah, I just
we'll see.
I don't know. I don't see Figueiredo there anymore. I think it's all I think it's Askarov. I think that's who's next for Brandon.
I think I'd like to see that. I think the first fight went to a decision. The second fight, he finished him. I don't think there's any need for a trilogy immediate.
No.
I think Askar is the fight to make. He's undefeated.
Yeah.
And
Russian, which is a huge demographic.
Yeah. So. So either way, you got another champion of, to bring in another market. So
I'm not saying that I don't think that that's what should probably happen. I'm saying what I think probably happens based on the respect that those two pay to each other in the octagon, based on the type of champion that Figueiredo is, that they probably make that fight happen.
I'll tell you what I want to see more than anything is let the triple champ come back, dude.
But the thing is he's not going to fight Brandon Moreno. They were teammates.
I know.
They're both Mexican descent.
I want to see it though.
I want to see.
I still think Henry Cejudo beats them all.
I do too. I think Henry Cejudo comes back and fights 135, regains the 135, and then says screw it and goes up to 145.
I think the only way Cejudo comes back for that fight at 135 or anything is if TJ Dillashaw comes out here and wins it back, and then he's going to be like, "Fuck that cheater!
Yeah,
I'm taking that belt back." Yeah, that's what I think. But
yeah, and then lastly, it's kind of for me like I think for Marvin Vettori, you go to the back of the line, and I honestly think he never even smells a title again. His style is too.
I agree.
He's just never. He's gonna be that guy that gets his one shot, and then that's it. You didn't win it. You're never gonna see it again.
Well, I agree with you. And I'm not saying that he's not good or anything like that, and I don't think you are either.
No.
I just think the only reason why he got to that title shot to begin with is because he avoided everybody in that top five, or that that he should have fought.
I agree.
Where's him versus Paulo Costa? Where's him versus Gastelum? Where's him versus Robert Whitaker? Where's him versus
Darren Till? Jared Cannonier.
He didn't fight any of those guys, and he got gifted a title shot, in my opinion, because he was on a streak. Well, and all those guys were booked and had lost to the champion previously, but he didn't fight any of those guys to get that spot. And I think when he fights those guys, he's going to find out that he's got bigger holes than he thought he did.
Oh yes.
Well, I think for him, another reason why he got the title shot is because he is the only one that agreed. Robert Whitaker was like, I need to wait till the fall or whatever, and then Adesanya is like, well, I'm defending either way. So Marvin was the only one that was like, yeah, I just fought 8 weeks ago. Fuck it. What's another? I'm ready. Let's go. But obviously he wasn't, and it showed. And I think that from this point going forward, Marvin loses probably the next 3 or 4 out of 5, because he's going to be fighting those top tier guys now. Yeah. And his stand-up game is disgustingly bad right now. I'm not saying it can't get better, because it can, and he's young enough still that I think he'll be fine. But I don't see him beating Jared Cannonier. I don't see him beating Darren Till. I don't see him beating Robert Whitaker or Paulo Costa
Well, I don't either. The only thing that he can hope is that his stand-up just looked that horrendous, because
it's like one of the best stand-up guys in the game. So
it's the best, and maybe that's the case, man. Maybe his stand-up isn't as bad as what made out to be, and Izzy covered up all those fucking, just swamped him, but I think that's the best case scenario for him. I'm not saying that will happen, but we'll see.
Yeah. And obviously we already know what's next for Izzy. He's fighting Rob. It's absolutely happening. So I don't even need to ask that. For your guys' surprise performance of the night, who do you guys have?
Got Moreno.
Okay.
That surprised me the most. I think he impressed me the most, and I think he deserves it.
Okay. Jeffrey?
Craig for me. I think that he was an overwhelming underdog, and nobody was ever really talking about giving him the chance. I think that his game plan was superb. His execution was fucking flawless. And I think that put a lot of people on notice. You know,
For sure.
like I'm not saying he's fighting for the title anytime soon, but I'm saying people know who the fuck he is now, and they know that that jujitsu's fucking real.
Yeah. For me, I'm going back to the early prelims. Terrence McKinney on like 8 days notice steps in, gets a 7-second knockout of Matt Frivola with the right jab, left straight, and drops him, finishes him in 7 seconds. That's a fucking spectacular debut.
And
That's
then
probably
blows
one of
out
the
his own fucking
and then
knee.
blows out his knee celebrating. So hopefully it's not serious.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But for me, that was my surprise performance. It's just not very common that you see those quick finishes. It's even less common because people were blown away by Michael Chandler and Dan Hooker, because Michael Chandler dropped Dan Hooker, who's absolute beast. And they were saying that arguably one of the greatest debuts of all time based on the finish and against who it was.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to overlook a 7-second knockout in your UFC debut on 8
and
days.
Shout out
notice.
to Dana White for taking care of that kid too.
Yeah.
He's gonna take care of him. Him.
So that was my surprise performance. So Trenton, you had Brandon Moreno. Jeffrey, you had Paul Craig. I had Terrence McKinney. In terms of our rating system, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a 0 out of 5 rating, and we came to conclusion that we're going to go for H bombs. That's going to be our rating.
Bombs.
Oh, Hendo bombs.
So Hendo bombs, and then in terms of like I guess that's the biggest thing, is that's going to be our rating system. So if you guys were to rate this card in its entirety and H bombs, what would it be?
I'll go first. I would give this card out of 5. I give this one a 3 H bombs for me. I think it was entertaining. I think it was good. I liked that there was 3 5-round fights on the main card.
Really enjoyed that.
I hope I know that they've talked about doing co-main events 5-rounders, and I hope that becomes the norm, because I like the longer pay-per-views. I like the longer. I just like it. I like it. You know, I give those guys a chance. In most of those fights, the co-main events are because they're on their way to the title, or it is, you know, so it gets them prepared as well for their title fights that are 25 minutes long. So I want to see that more. And I give it 3 because the fights were exciting, but like I wasn't blown away too much by anything. You know, like I didn't see a crazy starch knockout where they got, you know, something flashy, a spinning back kick or something like that from Edson Barboza or something, you know, that would blow those numbers up, or, you know, it was entertaining. It was good. And I think a 3 is fair.
Okay. Jeffrey?
I'm going to go with like a 3.4, you know, like I think it was above average to me, you know, 3 being average. I think it was a little bit above average for a couple reasons. One is the Nate Diaz factor. You know what I mean? Like it was just a fun fucking fight. He's a fool, and he makes it entertaining, and he kept it entertaining fucking all the way up to the end. For the Mexican storyline, you know, like that's a huge fucking deal, man. For the UFC, it's such a big deal to have that Mexican champ. And then lastly is you had Izzy come out and kind of dispel all the doubt. You know what I mean? Like from that last loss, just I think everybody's clearly back on the okay, but that was at the next weight class.
Yeah, that was at 205.
He's solidified here at 185, and he's probably going to be the mainstay for a long time. So I think it's a bit above average. That's what I'll go 3.4.
Yeah, I'm going to go at 3.5 H bombs. For me, the only reason why I didn't put it up in a higher, like on a higher pedestal, and maybe put it in that 4 to 5 ratio or rating, is that for me, the main event was not exciting. Like it was exactly what I thought. It was exactly what I expected. Whereas the co-main event, that's honestly one of the biggest reasons why I have such a high rating for the card as a whole, is because the co-main event was complete opposite of what I was thinking it was gonna
Mm-hmm.
be. It was so exciting. The guy that I picked, the guy that I was going for, won. And that's, like you said, Jeffrey, just that story. And for the country of Mexico, it's fantastic. And it's fantastic for the sport of MMA.
Mm-hmm.
I think also Paul Craig's finish that helped, even though it was kind of gross. It was still a finish, and it was something that I was like, whoa, this guy needs to be taken serious. This guy's no slouch. Even if he was in 2 weird fights with Shogun, and I think he should have just dominated Shogun, but apparently Shogun's nothing to sleep on.
Yeah.
Still. Obviously with your, I heard something. Obviously with the prelims, having Drew Dober and Brad Riddell fighting, that was the fight of the night. So that helped. That definitely helped with giving it a better rating, is you had on the prelims the fight of the night. So all in all, I'd say about 3.5. So about average, a little bit above average. I just really wish that, I think the thing that hurts it more than anything is that Izzy said that he was trying to do what Kamaru did to Jorge. Like, he was trying to solidify that, like, this is over. I'm done with you. I don't want to see you anymore. And I don't want to see you again. I'm putting this away and I'm done. And we just didn't see it. I didn't think he was going to finish Marvin either way, but I wish that he would have stuck to what he said and would have put him away. So that way he could have really solidified and just been done. Now Marvin's going to, if he doesn't get finished, he's going to think he wins every fight now.
Yeah.
Because that's, I don't know if his ego or his head is just that big and he thinks that he's that good.
I think also just what this UFC did is kind of set things in motion to where it makes the weight class pictures a little bit more clear. Who's fighting for the title next and most of these things. You can see it starting to move around and angle to where this young guy can start getting a shot and fighting, top more high caliber fighters and stuff. It's like, so a lot of the chess pieces were moved in this fight. And I think it was entertaining to say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for episode 2 of the Lay and Pray podcast. This coming Saturday, UFC Fight Night, Ching Sung Jung, Korean Zombie versus Dan Ige. Also on that card, Alexei Oleinik, which I have no clue how he's still in the UFC. Also, Tim Means is on the card, and then
some Ezekiel chokes or whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah.
Oh, Dirty Bird did?
Yeah. And then a fight that I'm really excited for is Marlon Vera versus Davey Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Cheeto's just he's fun to watch. He's a fun fighter to watch. So that's what's upcoming. And hopefully we can get a podcast done. Jeffrey, I know you're in the process of getting stuff moved, and Trenton and also the new baby, and then Trenton with the 2 new babies. So, yeah, I hopefully we can get a podcast out before this upcoming fight card, but if not, completely understood. I think that's it for me. Jeffrey or Trenton, you guys got anything in closing?
I'm good, man.
I'm good as well. That's it for me. My boy's in here coming to the track now. So,
hey, buddy. So, yeah, again, as I said at the beginning, make sure you guys check us out, whether it's on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, check us out on Anchor as well as some of the other podcasting platforms that you can find us on. Again, that is Anchor, Spotify, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and Breaker. And if you're listening to us on either of those platforms, then find us on YouTube. So thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. I had a good time talking about the fights, and
yeah, man.
Looking forward to the next one.
All right, later, boys.
All right, take
it easy, guys.